Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the overnight. I am DM Foss, and I need to update those older intros. But tonight joining me is G23. How you doing, G23?
Not bad. Thanks for the invite.
And Guns and Barbecue. How you doing?
I'm all right. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. And DJ Play Nice is on the road again.
Hey. Good to be here.
Iron Road. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
He is speaking. He's just not realizing his mic's muted.
All right, you're unmuted.
Hey, how's it going?
There you go.
All right.
First time. And Baron. How's it going, Baron? All right. That's awesome.
I thought we were doing the mute game. We're not live, are we?
We are live.
Okay. G-Web's already left.
So out there, we had DJ was first. He's usually first. He usually comes early. And he does come often. I appreciate that. Iron Road, G23. Mike McClune is out there getting drunk for the show. We should get drunk for the show. It'd make it a little easier for us.
You're not drunk?
Sometimes I wish I still drank. Guns Barbecue. Midget with a carrot cake. Gun websites. Carolina EDC reviews. How you doing? Tim S. C&T Designs and Arms. Hey, Coop.
Okay, I'm back.
And I think that's everybody. Yeah, I can. Good website says you can hold 6. Yeah, I got the poor version, the free version, so I can only do 6. Someday I will pay for this and have larger panels. Someday. And Luke Wee. Good evening. He was having a problem. He had asked us, was it Wednesday? About his 762 problems, and sounds like he got it figured out.
Did he trade it in?
No, he probably just adjusted the gas.
So, well, that's good to hear. So I wanted to do a series on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, or the amendments.
The first 10.
Yeah, well, a bunch of them. I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to go every Sunday to do this. And then after we're done, then we'll go back to our every other Sunday. But I
Is
wasn't
it Sunday?
What? Sorry. Saturday night for some, Sunday for others. But I didn't have time to prepare for anything for the amendments, because I just thought of it like yesterday. And so Barron's like, well, let's do the Declaration of Independence. And I threw in the preamble to the Constitution too, just to kind of fill it out. So we're a little slapped together haphazard for tonight, but we shall do our best. I've been thinking lately about, well, I think often about the Constitution and whatnot, and because of Caucasian Sasquatch, he's kind of got me into watching First Amendment auditors, and it's interesting, to see, because a lot of people don't understand their rights. Both the auditors and those who are interacting with the auditors. Because people will say, oh, it's my First Amendment right, and depending on what's going on, yes, most likely it is, but then they'll go through and quote different legal cases that back that up, and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. So we'll, over the course of however long we do this, try and kind of go into that. And it gets a little tougher because each state has their own laws. The Supreme Court trumps all of them, but within each state, it adds wrinkles to how they affect you. So we'll try and navigate through that as best we can. So tonight we'll start with something easy that I didn't have to prepare for, because Barron said we should go now because he didn't want to wait. He's chomping at the bit. So take it away, Barron.
Do it.
Okay. Yeah. Under the bus I go.
Speed bump.
I do have my pocket Constitution here. Should I just read it and bore everyone for a good 12 minutes?
Oh, yes.
Well, since we're going to start with do you want to read the preamble to the Declaration of Independence? I have it up. I can read it if you don't want to.
The preamble to the Declaration of Independence?
Yep.
I don't think I have that.
That's the beginning part.
Wouldn't that just be the Declaration of Independence?
Well, it's the preamble part of the Declaration of Independence.
The introduction.
Yes.
Do you have the Cliff Notes Pocket Constitution Edition?
Here, I will share my screen. Everybody loves your voice, so I think they would like to hear you read.
It's silky smooth.
It's
Well, I
very
can
good.
read a screen. You
It's
show me
very
what to read.
I'm getting there. Hold on.
It's very
you
soul
read that?
pres-
Do you need it bigger?
Always need a bigger.
That's what she said. Sorry, it
There you
was supposed to be good tonight. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we're going. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed.
So, basically, what they're saying is that it is inherent that these things are true, and that they do not come from an established government. They come from the individuals, the peoples. That's what the consent of the governed. We are the governed, and we're supposed to hold the power, which doesn't really work out that way because of the government. But yeah. Now I'm kind of trying not to shotgun ideas. So I'm trying not to DJ. No offense, DJ.
None taken, boss.
But they were starting something that basically had never been done before. They were a colony that wanted to be a nation. No one had done it. If a country had taken over another country, that country may have eventually gained its independence, but they go back to being the country they were. This was something new. Not only was it a colony breaking off, but the way it was to be governed was different. That it wasn't under a king or a strong man. It was to be led by someone chosen by the people. And anybody else can jump in because I'm just kind of droning now. So it always bothers me when I hear people say that the grand experiment has failed. I don't think it has failed. I think it is imperfect as it is now, but it has not failed. It's still the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, because of what it can do when it runs the way it's supposed to run.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I would like to point out we didn't plan to be a country. We kind of got pushed into it by a tyrannical government. And part of the Declaration is the grievances, and they go through like everything, like you did this to us, you did this to us, you did this to us. And they point out everything, and they're like, we didn't really have a choice. You made us do this.
Now take your tea back.
Yep.
They reacted a lot more, what you would say, hostility, more hostile than, say, Jesus did with the flipping the tables thing. we went outside and kind of started a war with a first world nation, if you would, at the point in time with over a 3% tax increase.
Well,
that
it was
That's
the
part of it, yeah.
strongest nation in the world. I mean, you could
That's
argue
why I
France
said
might have been
at the first
stronger at the
time.
time, but you know, when you look at the military that Britain had, etc., you know, that's a David and Goliath match.
Well, not just
In
not just the military. Well, I mean, I suppose this is the military, but just the Navy alone, the Royal Navy. That was
oh yeah,
that it within itself is, to get an edge in on the Royal Fleet is anything short. Is it? Well, I wouldn't say short. It's above and beyond spectacular.
a really interesting book if you're into any of this history nerd stuff is Rebels and Redcoats, and I don't remember the author. They look at the war, at the revolution, through correspondence, military correspondence, personal correspondence, letters home, and stuff like that, and gives you a little insight into what the people who were there, involved in it, what they actually thought by looking at their letters. And it's kind of interesting, and it might be skewed one way or the other. I don't know, but I still thought it was pretty neat to read, and it's a pretty easy read. It's not like a technical textbook or anything like that. But
What's really interesting about these two founding documents, though, is that in a sense they're both kind of diametrically opposed to each other. Because when you look at the politics and not necessarily I wouldn't say necessarily the politics of it, but the as far as where it sits in terms of liberty-minded versus authoritative-minded. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are kind of diametrically opposed in the sense that when you look at the Declaration of Independence, it's more of a libertarian type of document, and then it's almost as though that the Constitution was seen as the fruits of the labor of the Declaration itself. And that's an outlook that the Hillsdale College, if you ever seen their ads running around, that's a take from that little civics class that I thought was rather interesting.
Hillsdale is an interesting college. It's the only college that does not take government money. They are 100% independent. I don't really know a lot about them. I've heard about them from other people, and for some reason they sent me, I forget what it was. They sent me something in the mail. I think it was like a constitution, but I don't know why they sent it to me. I don't know how they knew to send me one, but I thought, just interesting note. Yeah, and it, like with the Declaration of Independence, there was a lot of compromise that had to be made because you're taking 13 little nation states and trying to make one loosely cohesive country out of them, where they can maintain the maximum amount of independence, but still be able to be a cohesive group.
Without the
Should we
Carolinas
bring up
trying
the
to kill
Articles
each
of
other.
Confederation? Because they tried to do like a whole super minimalist, no federal, like cohesiveness, and it didn't work out. And then we came up with the Constitution.
Yeah, didn't that whole Articles of Confederation thing ended up with the two Carolinas almost darn near wanting to go to war with each other?
I do not know that.
Sharon Hinchcliffe is out there, and she was mentioning a biography of Ben Franklin by McCullough, and Wesley Foster's out there. Was there Sergeant Joe Smith? That's the other person I saw jump in. Good
So
evening
I'm
to all of you.
looking up this book, and I've actually found two versions. One's actually called Redcoats and Rebels, and then the other one is Rebels and Redcoats. But then it seems that they're both followed by the same, the rest of the title, the American Revolution, blah, 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 blah. So I'm thinking it's the same book, but one is actually inverted.
Are they authored by the same person?
That's what I'm trying to find.
Gotcha.
But I feel like that would be a bit of plagiarism, just going, I'm going to do the exact same title except just switch Redcoats and Rebels.
Or marketing genius on the part of the author.
Perhaps.
Get you coming and going.
Is it listed that way on the front of the book, or is it just that?
It's that way on the front of the book, from what I'm seeing here on Amazon.
Pretty sure Redcoats and Rebels is the one I don't. It's upstairs. I'd have to go grab it, and I don't want to run upstairs. And it takes more of a look at it. I think it was from the British side, where they didn't quite understand what our problem was. We were paying less taxes than British subjects in Britain did. And so we're a bunch of rabble rousers, which kind of they were. But
this isn't like Britain was like, oh, you know what? Let's be cool and hang out in the United States. It was like a bunch of people were like, oh, we fucking hate you and we're leaving. Am I allowed to say fucking in here? Like, we hate you and we're leaving. And they left. And then a couple of people were like, well, we're going to see if we can make some money over there. But I think from what I understand, a lot of people were like, we're sick of you being tyrants, or sick of you bothering our religion, or sick of you being mean to us. We're out of here. And the companies that were able to hire people were hiring people that were sick of England. So
what? And some of
touch them at all, they were like, quit touching us, leave us alone already. And then they were like, well, why don't we just take all your guns? And they're like, how about we just go to war? And it was also, you got to think about, or at least I don't think you have to, but I would think about the colonies are a bunch of, it's not like, again, like England was like, oh, let's hang out in 13 different places. That was like 13 different groups of people that didn't necessarily hang out with each other. They were all just going to this new place and hanging out. And then once they got over here, they were like, who are you again? Oh, well, you're all the way over here, so we might as well be friends, right? Some of them probably weren't, but most of them were like, let's go hang out together since we all live here. And then they were like, oh, look how your gun has a giant bore. Oh, look how your gun has a long, narrow barrel. Why don't we mix those together and make the most effective fighting implements made? And their stupid punk old world army can go suck it, because our new technology is going to win handily with fewer items, because we're better and we're willing to change tactics and work together and take the advantages of all of us. And then that started the whole thing. Like, hey, wait a minute. We all work better together than having one son of a gun tell us, am I allowed to swear here? Like, tell us, I feel like we can swear at night. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, it's okay. Just, as long as it's for a point.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to say son of a bitch telling us what to do. So if that, I'm thinking a lot of times you hear about, oh, the United States, like if we were sitting over here being England, except over here, like we were everybody that hated England. We were all the burnouts and
well, there were a lot of
people,
second sons. The ones, the first son got the inheritance. So the second sons had to go do something. And that's a lot of them came to the colonies so they could strike out on their own and, make their own way.
I'm not saying like everybody. There was a lot of people here by the time we had the war, but yeah, I'm just saying like there was a lot of, what do you call, like collaboration and a lot of mixing that didn't necessarily happen wherever people came from. And that's what I think makes us, right from the beginning, United States, that makes us, something different than all those other countries. Before I jumped in, somebody had said like the difference is, we're a country that people, whatever you said, right? We're different than other countries where we're just like, boom, now we're Spain over here or whatever.
So looked up the authors for the books. They are different authors. Redcoats and Rebels is supposed to be through the eyes of the British. Rebels and Redcoats is supposed to be through the eyes of people that fought in the American Revolution.
Oh, sort of like letters from Iwo Jima and letters from what's the other one?
A response novel. Interesting.
Flags
Yeah, so-
over fathers.
Yeah, no, there's two movies. One's about everybody from the United States side, and one's from, or the one side, and everybody's from, and then letters Iwo Jima's from the other side of the same war, same battles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Redcoats and Rebels is the one that I read. I haven't read the other one. I might have to pick that one up.
I say I'm gonna snag both of these, and they'll probably be added to book club list in the future.
Yeah, but like I said, it's I thought it was a good read, and there were times where the British could have smashed Washington, but the generals didn't get along, so they wouldn't supply each other with what they needed. You want 5,000 men, here's 1,500, stuff like that. But that's a little aside. Honcho Fett's out there. Good evening. G23's heading off to bed. He's had enough of us. Have a good night. And he says, happy every second matters. For some of you on the West Coast, it is the second. And I had a patch sitting over here. It's under the pile. You probably can't read the patch that's back there because you can't see it in the clutter. But there's one back there also.
I would say the East Coast because it's still the first according to my watch.
Can't see it. Oh, yes. Is it black and green?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
need to
see
put
it.
a background behind because normally there's a gun of the day back there. But it gets lost in everything that's behind it. So back to what were we talking about?
The
So
preamble.
we got the preamble knocked out.
So it is imperfect, but still the great in my opinion, which I'm a barely educated jack off that has a YouTube channel. It is the greatest creation by man for government.
It's so good that Ho Chi Minh copied it for his own.
Mm-hmm. And studied here in the States.
Yeah.
Way to take lessons from what would, at that point, wasn't become your enemy. Interesting, huh? Good point.
You fought Americans with American tactics.
Yes, we were uncivilized, according to the British. Let me.
Well, when you've got a ruler who thinks of people as subjects, and it's wars of attrition, so you're going to stand there, and your generals and your commanders are expected. They've gotten their positions by living through battles, so they battle hard, and unless they're like the son of somebody or something like that. But most of them are battle experienced. But by the time they're commanders and generals and stuff, they're standing on the hill back in the day with binoculars and runners and flags and drummers and stuff. All that stuff was to tell people what to do in the heat of battle. So they're up there being strategists, right? And it's wars of attrition. It's lines of people killing each other, just slaughtering each other as you get more and more firepower. But even then, it's like bayonets, and it's just, if somebody wants to touch battlefield, touch ranks or something, and just have a quick battle and walk away, that's two generals might be doing that and then having tea that afternoon. Other generals are doing other things, and they're being told to do it by their king. But everybody has this, like, a king is born and they're deemed by the god, and They pick their generals, and then we're just living this life. There was no alternative. They weren't watching TV and saying I could live some other life. They were literally just doing what they thought they were exist to do. Then you get the United States, and we're like, can I say fuck all that? And then we have alternative tactics. More like we're not idiots, and we're not going to slaughter each other to die for some king. We don't have a king. We're not going to slaughter each other. We're going to work together, and we're going to use tactics that keep us alive and let their stupid wars of attrition fail. And that's what we did.
And
I don't
two,
think we are somehow unworthy or scared. We did something we just were normal, and they were a bunch of drones. They were a bunch of hive mentality subjects. And, sorry for them, but we didn't live like that anymore. We have all been on that.
And to our credit, though, also, we really, really, the church in England, the Church of England actually did play a lot bigger of a role than we lead it to be as well. Like, when we think about, in terms of oppression, when it came to why the revolution started, we thought it was just crippling taxes and just getting treated like crap by the authority. But the thing is, at the point in time, the church did wield a great bit of authority at the point in time.
Have a good night, Sharon. Well, religion did play a large part. It was, for a lot of countries, it wielded a lot of power. And in the founding documents, it might be an overstatement. In the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, it doesn't say God. It'll say, now I closed there.
Doesn't it say our creator?
Yeah, but they don't say what that creator is, and I think there's a reason they didn't. Not all of them, even if you went to church, not all people believed the same way, but it was, not sure how to put it. It's the thing that everybody did because you're expected to do it. So it was a part of mainstream thinking.
When everyone goes to church in order to couple up and multiply, and everyone goes to church because that's the biggest building in town when there's a storm, and everybody goes to church for different sustenance and things, like you don't have a lot of choice back in it at some point. When that's the group that's the place where everybody meets. Unless you want to not know what's going on, you go to the church to find out what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A part of the community in order to facilitate
When the church
communication.
when the church runs the community. Now, when the community is big enough to have more than just the church, then all those things don't happen at the church, and you can go somewhere else to keep in touch, or maybe there's a bulletin board. It kind of depends. But for a while there, I'm just thinking, I'm not no expert. I'm just watching one of those shows where there was some show, I forget when this was. Maybe it was actually a long time ago when it was still TV, before there was cable and everybody watched stuff on TV. There was a show by PBS where they brought a bunch of people, and I can't remember if they knew what they were doing or if they didn't, and that was part of the show. But they basically said, here's a town, and it was like those first towns that existed when the Mayflower and shit came over, like a really old kind of town. And then they said, here you go. And then they gave them an idea what to do to live through the winter, and I think they lived there for like 6 months or something, like over the winter, or up to the winter or something. I know. You remember that show? And in that show, it was sort of like that element. Like some people were like, I don't want to go to church. Well, guess what? If you don't go to church, you don't know what's going on. So feel free to not go to church, but you're going to be an idiot, and everybody's going to be doing stuff, and know what's going on, and you're not. So, there was no telephones. It's like, oh, I'm going to text you later with what happened at church. You either went to church or you didn't know what was going
on. Mike McClune said, God was not mentioned specifically, but our country was founded on Christian values. Yes.
Among other.
What it is, because that is the morality of the country. Sort of. I don't know if that made sense.
I would say Judeo-Christian, not just Christian.
And I think that's part of the reason we have the First Amendment written the way it is. I mean, granted, that didn't come for, how many more years after, we fought for our independence, but our founders understood that, there was more than just Christianity. And with that, they were very open to, people being able to practice whatever religion they saw fit.
They didn't want us to be a monarchy. What's it called when it's the church and is the boss? There's no name for that.
Theocracy.
They didn't want us to be that either, right?
Be
So
like the Vatican.
yeah. They probably didn't want us to be like that either. Or let it get like that.
There was also in the Declaration of Independence, there was a clause about banishing slavery, which was removed. Otherwise, South Carolina would not vote for independence.
Any of the southern states, really.
Well, specifically South Carolina said they would not vote, and then there would be other states that would follow along and not vote. But unless that was removed, they would not vote to break off from England. And there were even those who supported that clause had slaves. So there is a little bit of dichotomy there. But it shows that there was a movement towards abolishing slavery from the beginning. Because that's one of the criticisms you hear, especially, in the last couple of years, the old
Modern
white men,
politics.
old white men, slave owners, founding fathers. And it's true that some of them were, and some of them weren't. Some of them were abolitionists. Franklin, I believe, started an abolitionist group. That I'd have to read up on it a little more.
John Adams didn't own slaves, for example, and he was a farmer.
Yeah. Jefferson did, and I know he wanted to free them, but I don't think he did when he died because he was in debt, so he couldn't. There was something like that, but there was. I think Washington did when he died; his slaves were freed. And I'm not sure about the others. Not all of them were slave owning.
And it's an interesting part of history to have been in a couple of different regards when it comes to things like the Industrial Revolution. We're at the the foot of that pre-Revolutionary War, and that's on top of the Age of Enlightenment. So the forward thinking that was going on in that portion of the 18th century really brought a lot of those ideas to the, air quotes, New World as well.
Yeah, and that was I'm going to get us off on a sidetrack. Yes. So the preamble to the Constitution. Let me call it up so Baron can happily read it for us all.
I got it right here.
All right.
We, the people of the United States, in order to... let's do that over.
See, it chokes you up.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That's it.
That's it. And like everything else, each part of this gets bantied and argued, but they are laying the groundwork for something great. The preamble just says what the following document is going to specify. The established justice, and as we go through the amendments, it'll speak of these in detail on how they apply to everyone.
Yeah.
And what protections they give you. And these are protections not that the government gives you. This document protects you from the government. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's not the way it's always implemented by the government, because it is any large organization, whether it's private or public, and then the government's a public organization. Its goal inevitably is to grow itself. If you're a business, you want to do well and get larger. A union wants more members and get larger. The government gets larger. It's in my uneducated opinion, it's bloated and way too large. It needs to be of a certain size, which I don't know what that is, in order to function and coordinate between the states and protect the U.S. from threats, foreign countries. But I think they get into too much, like funding cow fart research. I don't know about
NATO
that.
alliance.
Yeah, that's I don't want to get too far into stuff like that, just because we're gonna end off out in the weeds, like always. But this is stuff that other countries don't do. England was led by a king, and they had their parliament, but the House of Lords was, you got to be in the House of Lords if you were a lord. The House of Commons was elected, but I don't know how up and up their House of Commons was. And I don't know when it came into being. I don't know British government. But the king wielded power and could decide, the British state could decide, well, we don't like what you're doing. We don't like what you're saying. We don't like who you are. We're going to put you in prison. And, so that was one of the things that I guess I should have called up a list of the amendments as we're talking. I'm ill prepared.
Speaking of Britain being tyrannical assholes, don't they still have a law in the books where if you wear something funny in front of like the House of Parliament, they can cut your head off? That it's still on the books?
There are still some archaic laws like that. I saw a YouTube channel of a guy that set out to break a whole bunch of those stupid laws by wearing something funny in front of Parliament and doing a whole bunch of those stuff. And I don't think anybody knows that law still exists. But.
Wouldn't that be terrifying if they're like, finally, somebody broke that law? Drag them off.
What's going on over there? Oh, guillotine.
I looked it up.
Amazing.
And Parliament was invented in the metric year 15. I just don't know how to do the conversion.
So you want to pull up the amendments?
Yeah, go ahead and why don't you pull them up? That way we can briefly go over them, and then we'll.
The First Amendment is the First Amendment. The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment.
All right, thanks.
Can you go over the first one again?
Is there any poignant language in that second one that, is like really direct?
I like the part where it mentions citizens in the Second Amendment.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's a callback. So you just want the Bill of Rights, or you want all of them? Because there's like 20 something.
We'll start with the Bill of Rights.
And coming up to one of my favorite things of all times, I've got to say later on, fellas, it was good being able to hang out briefly. Y'all be safe, have fun, carry your guns, and rock. See you next
Hey,
time.
thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for coming.
See ya.
What's he
Drive
doing?
safe. Wear protection.
He means a raincoat. There's a hurricane.
Can we read that?
What?
What the fuck is this? Oh, there it is.
Well, they can read along as you read it.
Oh, you want me to read the whole Bill of Rights?
Well, no, just thumbnail sketch of what's going on here.
Okay. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefore of, or abridging freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
And that's what most people, when they hear First Amendment, they think freedom of speech, but there's a lot more in that amendment, which we'll touch on later. And the Second Amendment, which probably most people who watch this channel know.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yes.
You forgot to say the comma. Remember that comma? It's really important. Comma.
Also-
I ran over the comma. Third Amendment, that's a fun one. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
Yes, that's it's not a thing now, but was a thing then, where the British could say, well, we need somewhere for these guys to sleep. We're going to use your house. We're going to eat your stuff. Thank you.
I'm not sure they said thank you.
I feel like, if the government really is worried about keeping us all safe, these guns are such terrible things. They're just death machines and people are doing such terrible things. Why don't they just quarter military and police in people's houses and say, hey, we're just going to provide you with security at your house? Do politicians have no interest in violating the Third Amendment?
We could have an ATF agent in all of our houses.
There we go.
No,
Let's not go with that idea.
Do we get free tax stamps?
No, you'll have an IRS agent and an ATF agent if you have guns. But
that's
the IRS agent will be there anyway.
Well,
That's
the
what
IRS agent kind of counts as like an accountant then, right? I mean,
My place does not have a
Silver
wheelchair
lining?
ramp.
I will force that IRS agent to be my CPA.
Well, most people already have listening devices in their homes, whether it's this or Alexa or Siri or
Google
Doorbell,
Ring, doorbell.
baby cam, made in China.
Is that where that Ring thing comes from? It's made in China crap.
TikTok.
Well, I'm talking, there's also people get baby cams and they don't pay attention to them. And they're like, oh, this is so convenient. I can watch my baby cam on my thing. And then they watch their house or their dog or their baby with it or whatever. And then it's like, what do you think? China isn't watching everything that goes through China? Like, why do you think their baby cam goes through China and back to your phone?
Well, when the baby cams first started becoming popular, there was a small problem with people hacking into them, and
Definitely, yeah.
so there were a few stories. It probably wasn't widespread, but parents hearing a voice over the baby cam, and it was somebody who had hacked in, and or saying whatever crazy stuff they want to say on a baby cam.
Buy
I'm
McDonald's. Buy McDonald's when you grow up. On a Happy
I'm-
Meal.
I'm just astonished that just through something as harmless as a baby cam, that China is able to spy through that.
How many people live in China? How many people live in the United States? 360 million here, something billion there. So
Yeah.
they could literally say, maybe 100 million people. Everybody watches 3 Americans. There you go. And
I'm suspiciously looking at the web camera I have for my computer.
You watch these
On your
three
camera?
Americans. Don't be enticed by their freedom.
Well, no, you just tell them you tell them watch what kind of weird stuff they do and name an American where some Chinese person isn't going to be like, oh, that's vile. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
I think it's more likely they'd have them watch Chinese people in China. Be like, keep an eye on each other.
They've
Rat
got
each other out.
They've got another 100,000 watching the 100,000 watching the 3 Americans.
There you go.
Each.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that photo with like 3 people in a row and they're all pointing a gun at each other's head from behind.
So, next amendment.
Number 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath and affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
So
that was a mouthful.
Government can't just come in, smash your door, and mess your stuff up, unless it's the cops and they do it by accident. Then they say, "Oh, whoops, we've got qualified immunity. Sorry."
And we're not paying to fix that.
Yeah.
I feel like this one's been perverted quite a bit over the years.
If they do break your door down, you can do a GoFundMe
basis. We live in Nazi Germany. We don't. So you can pay attention to the instances of
saying that we would be living in Nazi Germany. That's going to a ridiculous extreme.
Okay, so we living in fascism where there'd be people fear of the.
All right, whatever. You're fucking gaslighting me again. I'm fucking done.
Wait. All right, next one. Let's move on.
5th Amendment. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a, what the hell is that word? Presentment?
I don't know. I don't know where we're at.
Unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in land or naval forces, or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal cases to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Wow, that was not easy. Yeah. Remember back in school when you're like, the teacher calls on your name and he's like, read from this paragraph out loud in front of the class.
So that's basically wait, I was looking at that.
Oh, you didn't listen?
I did listen, but I needed to reference the material. So they have to have a reason to try you. And the land or naval forces stuff, I'll have to research that one when we get to that one. And you can't be tried for the same thing twice. And you have to have due process, and you can't be compelled to testify against yourself unless it's a grand jury. which for some reason the grand jury, you lose a lot of your protections. You can be held in contempt if you take the fifth on a grand jury during a grand jury. I don't know how you put that. Number 6.
In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have assistance of counsel for his defense.
So they cannot hold you forever without a reason, unless you were involved in the January 6th. Then they can trample over your rights and lock you away forever without a speedy trial. You can waive your right to a speedy trial if you want, but it's your right to give up or to keep. And it's also saying that you have the right to know why you are being tried and know who is accusing you and be able to defend yourself. And then and you can have a lawyer to defend you. Number 7. Amendment 7.
In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. $20.
Well, then $20 was a lot.
Yeah, how much was $20 then? Like 200 or 2,000 or what?
When adjusted for inflation, probably a good 1,000 now.
Well, what year was this? 1776, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's hope they don't start adjusting for inflation, and then our $200 tax stamp on stuff goes to, what would it be, like $4,000?
Yeah, back then they had half pennies.
Yeah.
So $200 was a lot. That was probably
$20 in 1776.
At least a couple months' wages for the average person.
Okay, I've got the number from the internet, so it's a different number than I would have thought. $20 in 1776. What do you think? Anyone? Without going over, according to the internet thing I found right here.
$1,000.
Say 500.
Oh, and then Iron Road.
I'm gonna go 750.
Oh, snap. So highest without going over. It says that today's prices are 34 times higher than the prices in 1776, according to the Bureau of Labor. Today, that's worth $680. That's not that much. 680. So, well, Iron Road wins, but yeah, it's basically a small claims court, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Number 8.
Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted.
And that's so they can't. What?
Beat you with a stick on Sundays.
Yeah.
I used to try to say, "Mom, you're violating my 8th Amendment right." She still
Well,
told me to
technically,
she told me to go out and cut my own switch. Still,
you only have protection from the government, not your mother.
God, you're right.
Right? There's no right to privacy from your parents.
Oh, number 9.
The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people.
So what I think that is your rights don't trump their rights.
Basically, it means there are so the Constitution doesn't grant you any rights. It grants you protections for your rights that you already have. And they're saying that not all of the rights that you have are laid out in the Constitution and protected. So just because it's not in the Constitution doesn't mean that it's automatically not a right.
Yeah, and those are referred back to the states.
That was 14 or something, right?
No, that's powers not held by the federal government are retained by the states.
Okay. This is saying all the
getting
rights
real
that the
complicated.
Constitution doesn't
Yeah.
spell out are still held by the individual.
Yeah.
Number 9. Number 9? DJ's gone. Never mind. I was doing a Beatles joke.
Didn't we just do 9?
And now
10, sorry.
Yeah.
10.
The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved by the states respectively or to the people.
woohoo! So all you federal alphabet soups agencies, you all could go away.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's not the 14th, it's the 10th. So it's in the Bill of Rights that everything goes to the states if it isn't in the Constitution.
So should we cover the worst of the worst, the 19th Amendment? When will
Let me
we
grab it.
when will we end the suffrage of women? They have suffraged long enough. Free them from their suffrage.
The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation.
Yeah, I probably just lost a lot of subs over that.
If they're watching.
Excuse me.
That seems. I'm hearing a lot of people saying repeal the 19th, and that's really starting to get a lot of traction. At
I
least
think they're
among-
saying it as a joke, hopefully.
Yeah,
There's probably a core of
there's a good.
not joking in there.
Imagine being that stupid where you're telling people that we should have the federal government take more rights from us. What the fuck?
That was a bit that the Man Show did,
Yeah.
where they
Jimmy
went out
Kimmel.
in public. Yeah,
Well,
and
When he
got
was
got
politically
women,
incorrect.
got women to lobby for ending the suffrage of women.
Hmm.
And that's the other thing too that I think like that's one thing that a lot of people are kind of like more or less tired about is people voting on emotion. Well, who's most likely? Not saying it's just that you look at
The views expressed by Iron Road are held by Iron Road alone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. You look at the fucking what's it called? The media. CNN, Fox News, or whatever. They try to placate and pander votes, and that's the one thing. That's one of the main reasons why, what makes or breaks a president sometimes is the emotion vote. Well, that just fucking
Dead silence.
Yeah, I gotta take care of something real quick here. So take over, Baron.
Okay.
Aaron's
Let
going to
me
get his
pull
thing.
up the Declaration of Independence for Vietnam, and we will read that. See if this sounds familiar. All men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So Ho Chi Minh took that
Happy
out of our
bastard.
Declaration of Independence and put it into his
He made, yeah.
1945.
Is it from France too, though? Did they take it from France? Did they use it? Because France was over there wailing on them all the time. Or am I crazy?
The Declaration of the French Revolution made in 1791 on the rights of men and citizen also states, all men are born free and with equal rights and must always remain free and have equal rights.
No, that sounds weird. Yeah, that sounds like they stole
I think ours is better. But I don't know.
A lot of wording about French fries and French toast, and it gets really complicated.
That is translated into English from French. Maybe it sounds better in French.
In French, it sounds like blah, blah, swah, swah.
Ribbit, ribbit. Do we just lose the one French audience member we had? I like France. They helped us win the French Revolution.
Well, the French like to remind us of that, but it wasn't the France it is now. It was under a monarchy.
Well, they still spilled blood for us.
Yeah, they still did it. Benjamin Franklin went over there and was cool with them.
Like, it wasn't the king spilling his blood. It was the people of France.
Franklin went over there whoring and diplomatic.
We just kind of... what's really interesting is what we kind of tapped into France's hate and discontent for the British and just used that as a weapon.
Well, and we inspired their independence, and they took it way too far.
Yeah, it's an important lesson to learn.
And then they started acting all weird. Now England's just going, France, what are you doing? Viva la Revolution!
That's what
snails.
When I hear people talk about that, the people that are wanting a civil war or a revolution in the U.S., it's not going to be a second U.S. Civil revolution. It'll be more like a French Revolution. It will be chaos.
Yeah, that's not good.
And disorder, and it's not going to be what everybody wants it to be or hopes it will be.
And that was more or less of a war of ideas and propaganda than it was like an actual hot war with divided lines, right?
What?
Which war?
The French Revolution. It was more of a war of ideas than it was a war of an actual hot, bloody war.
There was a lot of bloody stuff that happened.
Oh, I bet, good old decapitations, I bet.
Yeah, that's when it...
Let's do a wager. Did more people die in the French Revolution or the American?
Willing to bet the French.
I don't know if I said hello to Ozzy, but hello, Ozzy.
Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne. I will say I do hold a lot of respect for the French Foreign Legion.
They are. Yeah, the IGN, that's... They are some hard-charging people. I just don't get their fascination with snails.
Well, it's probably like truffles, where truffles was a problem. Yeah, I think it was killing oak trees. So somebody decided we need to get rid of the truffles to protect the trees. We'll tell everybody that it's gourmet. So truffles became a gourmet item, and
At least to the dumb ones.
the rich ones.
Oh. I think that's gonna be. I think that's like the ultimate. What would you say?
Have a good night, Mike. Happy every second matters.
I feel like that would be that's the ultimate trick on the rich. You know, the working class go about telling them that telling the rich, oh, it's a gourmet, it's a delicacy.
Well, there was I can't remember what country it was. It's like a Southeast Asian country. They had a rat problem, and so they fixed the rat problem by eating the rats. They decided, we need to do something. We'll just eat the problem, and it has helped lower the rat population.
Are we counting smallpox?
I would say no, because unless one of the sides were using smallpox as a bioweapon.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, the United States lost 130,000 during the American Revolution to smallpox.
Well, it's like World War I. More people died from the flu than died from fighting.
Dysentery, yeah. Dysentery is when you get a really bad stomach infection, right?
That's when you diarrhea yourself to death.
Ah.
Well, they're wrapping in the Napoleonic Wars with the French Revolution, so it's hard to get the death toll. But they're saying 2.8 million.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to separate out because there were probably a lot that died in the Napoleonic War.
But they're so intertwined. I understand why they did that.
But that doesn't help us.
No,
it's very.
Well, they're not helping us anymore. That's the whole problem. Remember freedom fries? Remember that stupid shit?
Yeah.
We got so butthurt we changed the name of French fries.
Well, and they accidentally bombed the embassy when they were bombing Libya. Whoops.
So officially, they executed more people than we lost in fighting the British.
Yeah, it
by over double the amount. Lopped off heads. That's a lot of people.
Yes.
That's a lot of heads.
They took a great idea and didn't know what to do with it. And
Talking about France?
Yep.
Yeah.
Size of Texas too, right?
I don't know how big France is.
I mean, it's not the size of our country or nothing. It's just like the size of a state or two.
Oh, the U.S. Yeah, Texas is bigger than France, but I'd say roughly. It's a comparison. France is approximately the size of Texas. That's the interesting thing to see is how other countries compare to the U.S. was back during the Iraq War when it had just started, and I was hearing people say, why don't they just find this guy? Why don't they find him?
And Saddam. Yeah.
You look at the size of the country compared to the U.S. It's finding this one guy in the size of 2 states or 3 states or however big it was. It's, you think of other countries, a lot of times you might think that they're this little thing with their smaller than the U.S., but it's still a large landmass.
What's that? There's a joke that Larry the Cable Guy made about we're trying to kill Saddam Hussein, but we can't find him. Can't find him. Larry King interviewed him a few months ago.
How long did it take to find him? A year? It was a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was a good hot minute. That was for sure.
Two 2003.
Speaking of, what was it? Saddam Hussein, I had the pleasure of talking with a. He was basically a translator, but the job was called it was an ITN or something like, or a CT, a cryptologist.
9 months.
And he talked about working with the SEAL team and this particular Navy SEAL team inside their little barracks common area room. They had a golden Kalashnikov AK pinned up in a shadow box, along with a picture of Saddam Hussein's picture, and a very, very, very blood-soaked, dried blood-soaked knapsack that you would kind of put over someone's head. And I kind of remembering going, so they basically just had their way.
Yeah, I have a copy of the picture of when they pulled him out, right as they pulled him out of the spider hole. I had a friend that was over there doing contract work, and he sent me some pictures and stuff.
Gruesome, I'd assume.
Some of it was just daily life. Like the craziest was the sandstorm. Seeing a picture of the sandstorm coming in, just this big, this huge wall of dust.
Kind of like in the movie El Dago.
I had never saw it.
It's basically what you described, just a big giant wall of dirt charging straight at you.
Have you seen The Mummy with Brendan Fraser? Did it have a face, this wall of sand? Did it look like cheap Billy Zane? I forgot this guy's name. Dollar store Billy Zane?
Oh, Brendan Fraser.
No. The guy that played the Mummy. I don't know his name.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I never saw the movie.
Oh, you're missing out. And
Sounds
we
like
are
I'm
out of
not.
topics.
Yeah. Well, this was just kind of a lead into the other stuff that I was forced into. But, I don't know. We can shut her down and wish everybody a good night. So for the next few weeks, every Sunday, we'll do start covering the amendments. And some of them we might cover more than one, just depending on what's in the amendment.
Yeah, some are pretty sparse.
Yeah. The big ones like 1st, 2nd, 19th, we'll spend a lot of time on those ones. So that'll be a show on their own. But so if anybody's up in the morning, Gizzard Gary does a morning Sunday chat at 7 Pacific, 7 a.m. Pacific, and that's sometime later Eastern. Was that 10?
10.
10 Eastern in the morning. It's an open lobby. He usually goes for like 4 hours. Is he doing? Hopefully he's doing his chat, promoting it. I don't know if he's doing his chat or not. I don't know. Well, if you're up, look for it. It's always kind of fun. And you can even be on the panel if you ask nicely.
And if he doesn't do a show, you can complain in his community tab.
Yes, do complain. And so, well, we've crossed midnight, so it is. Wish I had my. I pulled out that other patch. Every second matters patch. And we'll say yes. Even Caltex count for
Oh, man.
every second matters. Innovative design implemented by children.
Somewhere Yankee is busting a gasket.
He would agree that the designers think outside the box, but they're put together with screws and I don't know, milk bottles.
Oh wait, I was trying to. I thought you were giving them a compliment, and I thought I was trying to make a statement that you're giving Keltec a good compliment.
Well, like I said, they think outside the box, are innovative. They just don't spend any money on putting the actual gun together.
They just kind of stab themselves with their own pair of scissors in a way.
Yeah,
somehow.
Probably a lot of the designers wear those special helmets. But G-Webs, you have a chat tomorrow. Your Instagram chat.
No, tomorrow I'll be doing the gun rights policy conference.
Oh,
Again,
okay.
Rogue simulcast. Normally I would know.
What time are you gonna fire that up?
Learning 3D stuff, so as long as either I'll do it when it starts if I'm up or when I wake up. So I'm just I'm gonna do it when I can, not I'm 100% doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna set an alarm and wake up for it.
Yeah. Iron Road. Make some videos.
Sir.
Make some videos.
I'm trying.
The more people making videos, the better. The more content, whether it's gun content, Second Amendment content, any amendment content, any positive content.
Me doing cookies
there, the better.
in the snow.
Keyword positive. That's why I don't make content.
No wonder I can't find your YouTube video.
You got anything coming up? Anything going on? Anything in the works?
I want to get this bracket show off the ground and rolling. Trying to get some software up to do the brackets better. But yeah, that's my project at the moment.
I should have done this earlier when we started just blabbing about nothing.
Disco is dead. Disco is not dead. Disco is life.
Oh, that didn't mean to click that again. Wednesday night mouse party. It's Wednesday nights at 10:30 after the
tactical quiz.
Tactical quiz. Thank you. After the tactical quiz, which happens at 9:30, or is it 9? 9
Pacific.
9 o'clock Pacific, and Oh, yeah, it's usually a little lighter. Usually. Just time to hang out, have fun, talk about whatever we feel like talking about. And there's usually a poll for that I put out on Tuesday mornings when I remember that we'll talk about on the Wednesday show. So keep an eye out for those. Last week was best pet, and the dog won, of course. Anything else that I'm forgetting?
Join the Gilded server.
Oh, yes. There's a link in the description for the Gilded server. Place to hang out, chit chat, share memes, pictures, whatever.
Submit brackets.
Yep. Bracket is Baron's heroin. He's addicted to it now.
I think there's a rally in Pittsburgh in a minute, like this week. I don't know if it's a rally or like a Gun Owners of America thing or like a get together to bug the representatives or something like that. But I think there's something going on because Tony Simon will be there and Manasefakul will be there. Fatra Save Lives, so it's something fairly large. They were talking about a gun rights policy.
Yeah, a quick Google search, I don't see it, so I'm not sure. But so there might be something going on. So if you're around that area, find out. And of course, down below there was the email scrolling the whole time that I forgot to mention. You can submit pictures, suggestions, comments, or just leave a comment. Anything that we talked about, you agree, disagree, think we forgot about, leave a comment. I always read the comments. I do appreciate them. And other than that, trying to find my outro. There we go. Other than that, if you're going to bed, have a good night. If you're getting up, have a good day.
You still here? It's over. Go home. Go.